last night.
Should try this stuff.
CBD, fit CBD oil. I heard that aids sleep. I'll give that a bash, mate.
Dad, you still here?
Slept like a baby, mate, after that.
Alright everybody, episode 9, we've got the main man on the night, Blantyre Gaffer, John Gibson. Gibby, how you doing?
I'm good, Paul and Dax, so I'm good. Enjoying the sunshine today.
Gibby boy. Brilliant. I've got a wee tune here, Gibby, and that was just a wee one I made up. So we have John Gibson on the show. Gibby's done some job doing Blantyre with no hunters a do. His Blantyre team are on fire. The big question is, can he take them any higher? That short and sweet,
I tell you what,
straight to the point.
You've sang a song, but you've opened with a question. Gibby, can you take Blantyre any higher?
That's what I was getting at.
I know, mate. I just wanted to confirm.
You know yourselves. See in that league, see if you stay at first time you're up. See if you stay in it, that's you've done your job. You've got to stay in that league, so you can stay in that league. You've done a good job.
To be fair, you had a decent start last season, winning 3, drawing 2, and losing 3, which is pretty solid. And I had it in one of our shorts where we were doing the Beat the Dak quiz, and Dak didn't get the question when I was saying who's the second highest central team in the Premier League. So you'd obviously Clydebank were top of the 3, and then it was yourselves.
Listen, as you say, it was a good starting back. See some of the games, we got beat with the Meadow. We shouldn't have been beat with the Meadow. I thought we should have won it. We drew with Hurlford 2-0 up with 4 minutes to go, and we drew 2 each. We lost a goal in the last minute against Avon Meadow. So, see, really, I thought maybe we could have probably maybe another 4 or 5 points, really, honestly, with the games.
I suppose that's the thing about the top league, though. It's nip and tuck the whole time.
That's it. Listen, you know yourselves, right? See you make a mistake, you get punished even more.
Aye.
Then you can make a couple of mistakes and no lose a goal, and then see when you got that top league, one mistake is unbelievable.
Aye.
Aye. That's for me, Gibby, but that's testament to what you're building there now, and your boys and yourself and your own expectations, that you're disappointed that you've not just picked up extra points for the games. You know what I mean? Some people would have been saying, "Oh, I'm just quite happy with where we are at," and that.
Listen, you always get that. You always get that wee spiel. I'm quite happy, but when you behind the scenes, you're saying, "Listen, we can do this, we can do that," and you look at the games. Before the games, I was saying to myself, "In and out here will do well," and then after the game, you're going, "Should have won that by the way."
It shows that he's maybe ahead of where he's at, but we'll come back to Blantyre. We'll go back to when you started in the juniors, so that was early 2000s, and you've went to the Talbot. How was the level of the top end juniors? Obviously, that was still the Ayrshire League and then you had the Central League and stuff. How was the top end of the juniors back then compared to now?
Well, that's what the reason I went there, Paul, is that the new league was just starting when I went to the Talbot. Right. That was the first season. I think it was 2002 it started, and I went down to the Talbot, and the quality was good. Paul had a good side. Honestly, Talbot were really the top side at the time. You had your Pollocks, Avon Meadows, Kilwinnans were really there at the time. They were the good sides at the time. When I went down because I knew Tam, and then I knew Paul McInerney, who's my assistant. I knew he was playing with Talbot at the time, and I just finished playing at Morton, and I thought, I had a couple of offers to stay senior, and I thought, no, I'm going to go into this new league starting. Not as much travelling. 6 teams for the Ayrshire, 6 teams for the Central, and they were all good sides. But listen, surprisingly, it was a right good level, and there were some good players, so there was.
See, you've obviously been there as a player, and then you've stepped in as a player coach when Tam's got the job. How was that as I assume your first role in kind of management coaching? How was it?
It was really, Tam's assistant at the time was big Tony. And Tony Gallagher was a good assistant, and Tam had asked me to go on the coaching staff. Just have a different say, a different voice, different wee bit of training for what him and Tony were doing. And that with me just coming at the end of the career, you picked a few things up. So although I'd played the season before with them, they're still part of the team, because I was still playing and just doing a wee bit of coaching. It wasn't that much of coaching. I would take a few things during the sessions, and that would be about it.
Do you think it was more just a breaking you in type role that you had at that time?
It was probably just breaking us in and asking us to come on the coaching staff, because Tam and Tony done it all themselves really, and then they've asked me to come in and done a wee bit just here and then, so we're just going to breaking us into
After
Are you
the-
on zone, Gibby? Even who I know as a gaffer, are you on zone? Do you like to go in and take your sessions and that?
I do like to go and take the sessions, but see, as a manager, you've got to give respect to your assistant. You know yourself, we're got fortunate because we all work shifts. My assistant managers are on the fire service. I'm working now. I don't work shifts. I'm 8 to 5 noon in my job. So before I was always shifting. Everybody got a wee shot. So when Mac is there, I like to let him do it. When he's not there, I'll do it a lot. So I will, because there's only two. It's only him and I've only got me, my assistant, and the goalkeeping coach, and that's it.
See, weigh that, Gibby, because obviously, as I've said in the show a few weeks ago, I'm at St Peters now and we're aiming to try and get ourselves into the west of Scotland, waiting on the vote. That's really the only thing holding up just now. And we're in the process. We're treating it as if we're in terms of we're trying to get everything in place. And I'm in as assistant. I'm trying to get another coach in. And you know what it's like? You've played forever, basically. But it's difficult to get a coach in. There's boys you could ask, but it's hard to get somebody in that you know is going to be reliable in that. Are you happy just to run off the two E's and the goalie coach, or would you like somebody else in?
Listen, I always say to my senior players, I always like to try and give them a wee bit as well, a wee bit of responsibility. Boys coming to the end of their career and that, and give them a wee bit of responsibility. But unfortunately, we've only really got one or two at that side. We've got Simon Eels, who was manager at Royal Albert for a wee while, comes and does wee bits. Again, Simon's got his own gym and that, and sometimes comes a wee bit late. So it's difficult, but listen, it's always been just me, Maka and Jack. So what we do is we just split it between us and we go on. Listen, see, the more sometimes more you've got, more people want a wee say.
Aye.
We've worked well for us now, so where are we
That's
changing?
what I was going to say. It's worked the now and he's getting the success, Gibby. So it's one of the things, isn't it? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
That's what I usually say anyway. That if it's no broke, we'll no fix it. We'll just keep going the way we're going.
How did the Talbot? Aye, I know. First time we've ever done it. Too sunny today, man. You know what I mean? It's
lovely day.
It's a beautiful day. Dak was doing the fence. I just
want a bag of cans and Gibby on. That's what I've been shouting all afternoon.
See, Dak was at the back doing the garden fence. I'm up on top of the roof trying to brush the moss off the roof, and that nearly fell. Realised that I've got a kind of windy at the top that sticks out, and I realised that it had been put in as well, or one of the panes had been put in the other day. Didn't even know. But it's all right. It's a Wayne's room, so it's not going to make me cold or anything. But how did you do at your time at the Talbot when you've went into kind of the Talbot and in the coaching side? How did you stay in the league and stuff?
Done all right in the league. I think the finished. We won was it the Kerr? I think it used to be called the Kerr Smith Cup, the kind of a league cup down there. We won that a couple of times in the final. A couple of times. I think we got to the final. The one at the start, it's the sectional. I think we won that, the sectional league cup. So we done pretty well. So we did. But listen, I think you're always gauged when you're at the Talbot, the Scottish Cup. Tam took over just the season before I got there and got to the final. I think when Lithgow Rose beat them 1-0. So you're always gauged how well you did in the Scottish. The season I was there, we drew with Lithgow early doors and get put out the following season because I was only there for about a year and a half. Then Tam got the sack after a Scottish Cup tie, I think it was, and they won it. But I think they thought Tam wasn't the man for the job at the time. So Tam then left. So it was about a year and a half. But no, listen, you always look at it. You know yourself, seeing the show, he's always talking about everybody gauging in the Talbot. It's a great club. I've got respect for people doing there, and I still keep in contact with Henry and all that. So the time I spent there, I enjoyed. But football-wise, we probably could have done a little better because we had good players and maybe never got to where we should have.
Did Tucker come in after you?
Tucker did come in. When Tam left, Kenny Patterson came in and took the job for a couple, and then Tucker came in straight after it.
That's one of the. That'll be one of the quiz questions down in Auchinleck in about 20 years. Who was the management team before Tucker? I'd be like, who cares? Right, so you've went to Lanark after the Talbot. I think that was the first time I ever came across you at that level, was playing against Lanark. How was it moving from the Talbot, who were obviously one of the kind of premier teams, one of the pinnacle sides, and going to Lanark? How was the setup? Because I know obviously he's got a great park at Lanark and stuff like that, but how was the setup compared to it?
Oh, listen, it's completely different, but you just adapt to it. Because what happened was, I thought Tam would have took his own assistant, Big Tony, but he gave me. I was still at the Talbot. I'd been injured, so I wasn't doing nothing. I was helping away coaching with Kenny, and then Tam got the Lanark job on the phone and says, "I want to be an assistant." That's just what happened, and I was a bit surprised because his assistant was Tony. He says, "No, I'm not bringing Tony. I'm wanting to go to Lanark." So listen, I took the job, and we went up and. of course, it's not the same as the Talbot, but you just adapt. Good people at Lanark, so they were right behind you. We had an aging team, unfortunately, when we took over, and I think they were in the second division, the Central League. Well, it was a new set-up anyway, when it was the second division, and then we get relegated that year because they were well done when we took over, and we get relegated into the bottom division. But,
do you think, Gibby, see, just for me, Gibby, do you think that it's helped you get into management game by starting off as like a coach and then moving on to assistant and then moving into a manager? Do you think that that's helped you become the manager you're the now?
Oh, definitely. I had no inclination to become a manager that, because the shifts, you can see we work shifts, right? And if you're there one week, no, the next early shift, back shift, you know what it's like. So you're not there, so I couldn't be a manager. So I was quite happy. Tam was quite happy to have me there one week. Then we had a coach at Lanark, Stevie Pullins. He done the other week. I wasn't there. He was always there for the coach. So it helped that way. Tam took training and Stevie took the training. So it helped that way. But I was never interested in being a manager. I was always quite happy being an assistant manager. But I had a lot of responsibility at Lanark as assistant manager. So I did. And me and Tam kind of shared the roles pretty well. And you always speak about who has a final say in that. Tam would really listen to me what my views were, and I would listen to Tam's views, and we always decided what would happen. So really, it was a good partnership. I mean, it lasted almost 10 years, so it did, and it was a good partnership.
See, I agree. See, you're saying Tam relied on you a lot as an assistant. That's something we have spoken about before, and it's something I agree with. Where when I was manager, I heavily relied on my assistant. There was times where he would get the final say. If I was really stuck, I couldn't make a decision, he would just say, no, this is how it's going to be. But on the flip side, when I left Bridgewater and I went to Yoker, and I was helping my mate there as his assistant, he was really gave me a lot of kind of scope to do what I wanted to do. And again, if he was struggling with a decision, because you know what it's like, it's hard making decisions sometimes. He'd be like, I need you to call this one for me. And I think I always feel you get the best success when you've got that, because you can't have a manager who's just going to say, do what I'm telling you, that's kind of the way it is. You're just a cone technician, you're just setting up drills and that's all you're there for. I think it's important to have that.
I hate that cone technician. That's what McStay, that's all Ryan McStay calls me, he's a cone technician. But I'm sure the boys at Ashfield will tell you I do a lot more than putting out cones or collecting cones.
I'm also the water boy.
I've done everything at that club. I've been the physio and everything, man. You know what I mean?
Listen, you've heard it before on here. See at our level, you do everything. You bring in the water, you bash the bibs, you do everything, you bring the boys. See at our level, you just do everything. And you don't go, I'm not doing that, that's beneath me. You just go on with it, and that's all you do.
I think that's something
it's your respect for the club, and it's your respect for just your surroundings. Not like even we daft things. Like I always find myself, even when we play away from home, I always sweep up the dressing room with the opposition, not to put all the rubbish in the bin, not because I don't like to leave the place basically a shithole and I'm leaving. So I just always think it's just wee daft things, because I care about the grade, and I care about what impression we leave as a club when we're leaving places and stuff like that. It's just wee daft things, you know what I mean?
That's what I see your committee doing that all the time. See after the game, I'm the one that folds the strips away. I always say to the players, put the strips here, but I'm always thinking about to give the committee a wee hand, because you don't know it as well, right? Committees are aging now, they're getting older. You're not getting a lot of young blood through now, and it's all older men now that's staying. So you always try and give them a wee hand, and I always stick behind to put the strips away, help them, and that's one thing they always do. Good people. That's how you're good people in this game. So at this level,
that's something we had at the Port. That like, you know what it's like in the dressing room. You've got your own seats and all that, and I sat in a corner with kind of a few of the more experienced players at the time, and there was an older guy, Bill, on the committee. Great guy, honestly, couldn't do enough for you. Really nice guy, and we were a lot of us were like that when we were at the Port. We wanted to help him out. You know what I mean? It's like Bill would gun himself and he'd start putting the stuff away, and you're like, you don't want. He's obviously capable of doing it, but he's an older guy, and you're like, you don't want him having to pick up all your shite when we could just deal with it ourselves. And I think we've like knew when this is coming out. We're on the 25th, so this episode will be out. I can't remember, 2nd of May or something. The episode that we've got out last week, which kind of nobody knows about at this point, is a behind the scenes stuff where we're in at different clubs, and I think it's perfect when we're at Ashfield. And you see what it's like. We go into the dressing room, you see what it's like. We go into the shower room, we're in the gaffer's office, and you get a proper feel for what the club's like. And we're at your club as well, Gibby, where we're at the new stands and stuff, and we're talking about committee guys. And it's good for people to see that, because the normal fan or punter that comes to watch the games, they don't know what really goes on and what these guys do. I mean, we went down to see Blantyre on a Wednesday morning a few weeks back, and there's something like 4 or 5 guys at 10 o'clock in the morning in at the club, cutting the grass, rolling the park, doing work at kind of painting stuff, making sure everything's sorted. And people can have a go at committees, and I've been places where committees haven't been great. But at the same time, people don't realise how much time they gear up and how much effort they put into the clubs.
Listen, you see it. You see when you go to the away games as well, how much people do, and how much work they get in. They don't get the credit, and it's one thing I always gave. We never had one this year or last year, but with the supporters player of the years, I always give us the first thing I always say: the club's nothing without the committee.
Aye.
And that's the main thing. These people have got to be given a pat on the back for what they do, and I always say that to them. You've always got to thank them. So you have. Doesn't matter what committee you work with, you've got to thank them, because it's their own time they're putting in. And someone will put their own money in, I know.
Exactly. I know. Well, back onto the football. How was your spell at Lanark?
We had a successful spell at Lanark. Although we were relegated the first time, we then come back up, won the league. And what we did was we brought on a lot of under-21 players and some good players. And it served Lanark for a few years. Davy Middleton, Davy Gray, all boys for that area. We brought in Dougie Emery.
That's right, aye.
And what Dougie went on and done with some really good young players, a couple of bits of experience in there, Gary Shearer. We brought them in and we won the league, and we won the Evening Times Cup that year. We beat Beath in the final 2-0. We beat Auchinleck in the semi. So we had a right good run.
That's a couple of big clubs to look at, isn't it?
We had a right good. We beat Beath at Peter Saul's Old Park. Before that was probably one of the last games on it. Beat them 2-0. And Beath were a Premier League team at the time. Beat Auchinleck at Lanark midweek. We had a really good young side, hungry and done really well. We went up the divisions, and then what happened was we always done well in the Scottish Cup. We had really good. We got to quarter-finals one year in the Scottish Cup. Kelty put us out. We get put out with Lockheed at that time. My boy Eddie Waleski was the manager. They go to the final twice. They had a good side and made really good runs in the Scottish, but we just failed in the league to get out. Then we finally got out of that league, so we did. We went to Bellsall. Tam was offered the job at Bellsall. We were in the Premier League at the time. We took that.
How do you think the good runs he's had in the Scottish hampered you in the league? Because I noticed, like I've spoken about this before with my Bridgewater team, we got to the semis of the Scottish, and it was like 10, 11 games we played due to kind of replays and stuff like that. And that killed us. We just missed out in promotion that year, missed out in the playoffs, sorry. And it just killed us. We were on our arse by the end of the season. We'd ended up playing maybe 10, 15 games more than teams in our league because we did well in a couple of tournaments. Does you think that hampered you a bit?
I don't think it hampers the amount of games, Paul. I think it hampered us was when you've got 8 games coming in, they're bigger games, you know what I mean? And then the players are having to come down, and no disrespect, but it's not the same feeling. Because you know you're going to get there. Listen, Tam's always won. The holy grail of junior football was the Scottish Junior Cup.
Big time.
That was the holy grail. Everybody wanted to do well in the Junior Cup. The league was a kind of a sideshow then. Any league was a sideshow. It was the Scottish Junior Cup. Because you were playing all the teams for Scotland, It was the biggest thing. West was probably the next one. And we had good runs in the West as well. So what you always look for, and I would say, I think it was just the games, the type of games that were never really suited us. And that's why it wasn't the amount of games, it was the type of games.
That's something I spoke.
You always wanted, didn't you? You always wanted, like, that's what I love about the Scottish. You always were like on social media or making phone calls or chatting amongst it with the players, with your boys going, who did we get in the Scottish and that? And it was always that buzz. You always wanted the bigger teams that you always wanted an away day, man. So that's why the Scottish gives the dressing room a different buzz and that. Gives something to look forward to.
Aye, definitely. As I say, as Tam always says, the Holy Grail is the Junior Cup, and it's great when you get a good tie. It's even great if you beat them, know what I mean? Because we took some big scalps on at Lanark as well, and we really enjoyed it, know what I mean? Especially up at Lanark, we were beating teams. These teams, especially, have done a few Premier League East teams because they're coming down expecting, and they're not doing their homework, and they're expecting, they're not very good, they're in that league, so they can't be up too much. And then you're coming down and you're beating 3-4-0.
Well, see, that's what we touched on with Faz a couple of weeks ago when he was on, and we spoke about mentality, because obviously playing bigger teams, you raise your game, or sometimes you'll take a doing, but generally you raise your game and everybody kind of ups it a bit. So you're talking about the fact that it's different types of games in the league. Do you find that's quite a hard thing as a manager? Because you could get caught up in it yourself as well, where maybe you get a better team talk or whatever because you're more up for it. Do you think that's a harder thing for a manager when you know you've got, say, the Talbot and the quarters of the Scottish or whatever, and then, say, that's on a Saturday and on the Wednesday, you've got Royal Albert and it's boys finishing their work? Do you think that's hard to try and get people in the right mindset? It should be, on the face, it easy, but do you think it's quite a difficult thing?
Yeah, it is difficult. Because as Dak says, everybody's looking at the game's head. They're all boys are always up for a bigger game. You know that yourself. See when you want to play a team like the Talbot or your Cumnocks and that, and you're doing it at lower divisions, you're pitting yourself against the best players there, and you want to do well. And the thing is, you want to do well for yourself and maybe get yourself a move.
Exactly.
And say, oh, baby, he's a good player. He could maybe step up to that level. You want to show the opposition you're as good as them at that level, even though you're playing down maybe 2 or 3 leagues below them. That's what happens. And then when you go that Wednesday night, you've got that excitement and that buzz. You've been up there, and it's hard to...
You're rushing about for your work, playing at a shite hole and stuff after it. It's hard. Before we move on for Lanark, you've said about Dougie Imrie, and I was at Clyde with Dougie. He was known as the Mutt. He was a first team player and I was one of the 19s. He's just an angry wee man. But how was it having him? Because you see the career he's had. He's went to Hamilton and been a very decent kind of Premier League player. So how was Dougie at a young age?
Dougie was... When we got Atlanta, he was already at Atlanta. He'd been released at Queen's Park when he was a younger boy and released. When we went there, he was playing wide left and a 5. But in training, he was always scoring goals. So lads like that, we'll stick him up top. He had pace, good dive for a goal, great striker of the ball. So we stuck him up front. And in that season, we stuck him up front. He scored 42 goals in the first season we put him up there.
Aye.
Now, I remember, and I know it, but I remember talking to Billy Reid. Billy was the manager at Badger was the manager that I played with Badger at Stirling Albion, and he was the manager at Hamilton at the time. And Billy said to him, "Hey, look at the boy Imrie." I said, "Have a look at him, Billy." So I said, "Billy's got 42 goals." He's like, "I know, but look at the level." I said, "Ben just scores 42 goals."
I know.
Look at Billy. He's like, "No, I take what you're saying." He said, "But I'm not going to bother." So that's fine. But then Dougie just kept going well. So what happened was I started. It was one of the ones. Other Pollock were trying to buy him. The Ayrshire teams were trying to buy him, and I said to him, "Listen, me man, for me your move's got to be senior. Leave it with me." So I started phoning in a few folk I knew. I took him down to Morton, but I took him down to United first against Morton. Robert Riley was involved, and Tam Tate was involved. The manager at the time was Davy Shanks, and he was done well against Morton. At the time, Jim McInally was the man, and they said to us, "Oh, I like him." I said, "Well, you can have him done. He's a couple of weeks to think about maybe him done." We went down to Dumbarton, Big Paul Mark took him to Dumbarton. Now, he scored a hat-trick in a game in Dumbarton. Big Paul never signed him. I then took him up to Stirling Albion. B. Moody was up at Stirling Albion at the time. And I took him up to Stirling Albion. After 30 minutes, B. Moody said, "I want to sign him." I said, "Moody, I've got him coming into Clyde tomorrow morning. Just hang fire." He went into Clyde. Tommy Coyne took him into Clyde, and Tam signed him. Tam was in there helping with Joe Muller and Roberts was at the time, Graham Roberts.
Aye.
And they signed him. And he was just that good a player, you know what I mean?
He's definitely... I always thought kind of a raw quality about him where he was just so direct and quite ruthless in that. But I think
it's quite similar, mate. It's actually quite similar to Big Cal when he was at us, Big Callum Graham. Big Callum Graham was on route to get... He was going to hit 60 odds goals for the season he was at us. And the big man's went and signed for Pollock, and Pollock's a massive club. I love Murday and all that. Not mean I've got a great relationship with Murday and that, but I wanted Big Cal to go senior. I wanted him to bypass it, and that's exactly what they used to say. And I think sometimes it's senior football's ignorance to our level of football. That's what they used to say a lot. Going, "Oh, he scored 40 odd goals. What's he up against and all that?" And that's exactly what we used to say, Gibby. We used to go, "Listen, the boy's just scoring goals, and see if you come and watch the goals that he was actually scoring." It was frightening, but listen, the big Tadgers went to Pollock, and I'm not talking to him anymore. I fell out with him, mate, and I'm not talking to him anymore. The bromance is over now, you know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you a funny story about that, right? Now, the first time I seen him was a friendly when we played at Blantyre.
That's right. I was in goal that day, Gibby. That's how we beat you, I think.
So, Callum knew, you know, he works in Lomoss in the estate side. So his gaffer standing behind me, wee Chris Begler, who used to come to the games, and me Jimmy Kane, who was the Western region, you know, with me Jimmy Knight. So
Aye.
I was still watching the game, and me Jimmy says to me, "Oh, that's Big Callum." I says, "What do you mean, Big Callum?" "Ah, Big Callum, I gave Big Callum the job at Lomoss." I says, "Who do you play with, like Jimmy?" "Ah, John, he scored about 60 goals with a team in Motherwell." He says, "I'm not too sure it was, but I wasn't want to say it to you just in case you didn't fancy it." You're kidding me on. But that night I could see in him. That night I seen him saying that, by the way, he's got something.
Aye.
What age is Callum? What age is he?
Only 25 or something, 24, 25.
Thing is, he's not a young boy anymore, but see at the same time, how's he gone almost unnoticed for so long?
Listen, Big Kill, but he was playing with Marvel Kings and it was with his pals, not so he was in his comfort zone. I think a big thing was I've got a good relationship with him off the park, so it was a case of I managed to get him in. We had him at Ashfield training with us for 6 months basically because we said he wanted to stay and finish the season with his amateur team, so we were patient with him. We let him train. He played in all the friendlies, but he was scoring against Meda, Pollock, Rob Roy, all in the top division in the friendlies, and then in the summer he won the league with his amateur team, and then he committed for the season, and then obviously never looked back.
It's mad. Like
I couldn't believe what Jimmy Kane said to me. I didn't want to say it to you.
Aye, cheers, Jimmy.
Aye.
But see, like obviously, Gibby, you've pushed quite hard for Dougie to get a move, which it says quite a lot about you because you could have cashed in on him, got money off a Pollock or whatever, and made yourselves a bit of money out of it. But is that something that you like today? You like to have your players and then try and help them progress?
Aye, definitely, Paul. Like we Dougie was just, he was just. I mean, I know, like Pollock were offering really good money. Don't get me wrong. What's happened after that is we get nothing for Clyde, right? I think they gave us some boys. So what happened was we got a sell-on clause, Tampa a sell-on clause, 2 sell-on clauses. So when he went to Inverness and then when he gets moved to Hamilton, we still got money. So we did.
Oh, that's all right.
We were unfortunate because when he was before he went from Inverness to Hamilton, he was supposed to go to Notts Forest for a 6-figure sum.
Upset, man.
Just missed out on that as a second sell-on clause at Lanark. But no, listen, I always look to try and put my players up the way. And if they come in, I say that to players who come down, Paul. Listen, come down, do well, and that might be a step back up. We'll help you in any way I can to get you back up.
But the thing is, it's mutually beneficial, isn't it? I mean, they do well for you. Do well for you, and then you can do well for them.
My only thing is, and I'm not having knocking at the players that do it, who come in, do really well, and then go to a club lower down and to get more money.
Aye.
I don't get that near the day at this level. Near the day.
I mean, it was actually something that I was going to bring up, and I was going to bring it up when you were talking about Blantyre because I see in a day here that obviously, let's be honest, like you're probably one of the lowest budgets probably in that league, and you're losing your best. Every year you're losing your best players, aren't you? Basically, so you're fighting a losing battle, and it can't really be for football reasons because a lot of them, some of the boys are only going to like. Listen, I'm nobody. I would never ever say anything bad about any clubs, but it can look on the outside as if a lot of things are down to have money in it.
Oh, it's all about money. So, listen, Endic's left me. He's not footballing matters. They've moved for the money, and that's fine. Yeah. Listen, if that's what it's about, that's what it's about. I cannot give them. I would love to be able to say to players, I'll give you what they're giving you, but I can't. That's just that. And I always say to the committee, people say to me, oh, we have a budget. I knew the budget before I took the job. I knew the budget every year, so I never complain about my budget the other day. That's one I never complain about. And the committee work hard to give me a biggest budget as they can. But it just comes, it's just no the top of the range budget with the other teams have got. So you've got to go and shop where you can bring young boys in, try and help them, move them on. That's just what it's like. So I don't get down. See, I've just lost 3 probably. Before that, and it's no Hyman, but I lost Ross Colwell to Darvel, the boy Aaron Black to Darvel, Kieran Coleman to Rogland. Just these things. I don't get down about it.
Right.
Can I get down?
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say. How do you feel with it? Do you feel a bit downhearted at times because it's obviously then you're back to the drawing board, innit? Try to still continue your success, but then you're having to replace these big players.
Listen, I don't try and not get down. You get a wee bit frustrated sometimes. You go, oh, that's him away, and you go, I wish he would stay and all that. You do get frustrated, but it just takes you to go at that. And I always say to the committee, my first thing is for me to find another one. Don't worry about it. because the committee's got they're probably more angry than me. Get me more angry and more frustrated than me. But I always say, listen, it's not me to find another one. There's people out there, don't lie. We'll get them.
That's the thing as well. You're talking about players going for money, and it's something where I know me and Dak have spoken quite regularly about this, particularly this year now that I'm back involved in football. And like I had a meeting with our gaffer and kind of the money men for us today, and we were kind of putting our budget out, and people who know of us already think that we're throwing daft money about, and it's literally not the case. I won't name him because he's a nice guy, but I spoke to a boy who we're going to be ground sharing with Renfrew if everything goes right. I spoke to a boy who stays in Renfrew, and I'll be very open. Offer them £20 a week. That's your max. That's what we can offer. That's the absolute max. Offer them £20 a week, and he decided to go to Forth. And I'm like, you're travelling the best part of an hour every time you go there to go to Forth. No disrespect to Forth, because I've got a big mate that plays at Forth, great guy, Billy Stevenson, great guy. But it's like, Billy's honestly some guy, but you're like, we're right in your doorstep. And I'm not saying Forth are paying him, that's not the case. I don't actually know. But you're like, we're right in your doorstep. We are offering you a wee bit of money to play, and we're offering you great stuff behind off the pitch as well in terms of what we're bringing to the table. And I don't know what his reason for going. I'm not saying it's money, but you're like, what is it that you're looking for to go elsewhere, to travel instead of being 5 minutes for a house walking? You know what I mean?
Yeah, here's my thing. You're a new club. You're offering players more than what I can and we can ask you, mate. So put that
That's true.
You know what I mean?
We're fortunate. We're fortunate. We're fortunate that we've got a very good committee who have done a lot of work for the last however long to build us into this position to hopefully get us in. And it's like that's our absolute max. You know what I mean? That's the highest we can offer, and we can't offer it to everybody. But it's obviously not enough to some people, you know what I mean, who haven't been playing at a great level.
I always say to players, Paul, when I speak to them, see, it's money you're looking for. This is the wrong club you're coming to. If you want to come and play football, and I hope you learn something from me and from Maka, and we'll try and make you a better player, this is the place to come and play. I don't guarantee anybody a game every week, but if you do the business for me, I'm very loyal to you when I play it. And that's just how I am. If I've got a winning team, I very, very rarely change it. That's just my philosophy in the game. As Dak says earlier, if it's no broken, you need to fix it, eh?
Well, that's the thing. See, like, we're going to talk more about Bells Hill and stuff like that. Well, maybe I'll ask about Bells Hill. So I've got an interest because it's one of my old teams. But see, with Bells Hill, we used their...
Who's your old team, Bells Hill?
I say old team. I was there for a couple of months and ruptured my calf.
Man, your career, man, you have been everywhere.
Mate.
You were slagging wee Cashy on this, talking about clubs, and I'm hearing all these things that I didn't know you played for these clubs. You know what I mean?
Mate,
see, the thing
is, Gibby, he claims he was ex-Talbot. Not I mean, he didn't even get a training kit. He was doing there for a 2-week trial. You know what I mean? And claims he's ex-Talbot.
I played a game. They didn't know I was there. I managed to slip on and play a game one time, right? But at Bells Hill,
big fans couldn't even remember him.
He was calling me Ross and all that. I didn't know who I was. But see, when you were at Bells Hill, was that when it started to go quite wrong for them with the money?
We took the boy had it. He left. He gave it up, and it was the boy Paul Fox that took it on.
Mm-hmm.
He put them out the pitch and everything. There was a good park up there, so it was the old park. They had a good park, great facilities. But he put them out. We ended up having to pay the owner then £200 to play our home games there.
Mental.
And he wouldn't use the facilities for the catering, so we couldn't sell pies or nothing. We were paying. Me, Paul was paying, unfortunately. And by we being a good side at the time. We done well at Bellsall. Me two Cora were both in the league meantime. We took her in October, and we were both in the league. We stayed up following season. We finished. We were for most of the season. We were in the top four, and then we kind of fell away. We finished mid-table one of the times. We had some good players. We brought some good players to Bellsall. Good side, and then again the money came. We started having to drop a wee bit of the wages and that because Paul was having to pay ridiculous money just to keep the park going. We ended up getting put at it again, and then we were playing our games. We were playing some games at Villa Clyde's Park. It was just one of the ones, and it just never worked. I remember coming one day to Bellsall, and I think we were sitting third tap, and they beat us 4-0, and the committee weren't happy. And Tam says, "Oh, the committee want to talk to us." I says, "Tam, don't take me in there, because I'm not having committee tell me anything that I'm not happy. We were sitting third table with the lowest budget in the league." I says, "They were relegated last year if it never took off. Don't tell me the committee want to talk to me. You go and talk to them. I'm not talking." Because that's what you get with some committees, you know what I mean? They start thinking, "Oh, well, we're sitting third, we should be challenging." And you've got a budget that's no, it's as Big David Gallagher used to say, 2 balloons and a whistle.
See, the thing is, that's something we've actually.
You hang me, Gibby.
When you go down.
Sorry, PG. Are you, like, obviously saying that, Gibby? Are you calm, or are you quite a hang me, a hothead at times in addition?
I've mellowed all the years, Dak. I've mellowed all the years.
Have you?
Aye. Don't get me wrong, I can still listen in again, but but Paul will tell you, when you get it first, and you know yourself, when you get it first, you want to fight fire with fire, eh? That's what you start to think. I'll fight fire with fire, especially with the assistant. And I still will. Wear my head sometimes, know what I mean? But sometimes it's better to hold it and then do it at the right time when they're least expecting it, eh? But
Yeah.
I can be, especially side of the park. I don't like standards dropping. I don't like complacency. I hate complacency. Complacency is the worst thing ever. So it is. And I hate players when they become complacent. That's when they'll hear me. When they become complacent and they drop the standards. But I know I can be, but I have mellowed all the years. It's like I said, you know yourself in the job at first. You start that other job at first, you're there, and then you start, where do you go in? The more you fall away from it, you start becoming a experience.
See, that's something like I feel that I struggled with, and I've mentioned it before again, where I get very, very aggressive because I just want things done a certain way, and I even forget, even though it's only been a couple of years since I stopped playing, I even forget what it's like when you're you're trying to tell boys that talking about a drill you're going to do, and boys, they're not being disrespectful, they're just being players where they'll have a kind of couple of wee words to each other as you're doing it, and I used to I still get pissed off for that, but I did it myself, and it's like, you're saying you're mellow, and it's something fuck I hope I'm mellow, but Dak, see, like, I know what you're like as well, where you portray the fun man all the time, but I've seen you when you lose. Aye, because me and you weren't screaming and shouting at each other across the park one time, but
To be honest with you, mate, I was going to leather you that day. I was going to have to battle you in front of everybody that day.
Look, mate, if you couldn't take getting the trousers pulled in your bum scalp, that's just how it is sometimes in football.
Gibby, we played against the amateur, long story short, and we beat us in the West, but we were just a wee daft Saturday morning team, but we gave him a hell of a fright, but he was being all arrogant and that, and I was ready for caving him in front of everybody.
Gibby, I'll tell you my side of it, right? I'd been doing and watched them the week before, right? And he says they're a wee daft amateur side. What's Sal, who's just won the league with Queen's Park on loan from a Premier League side, was playing from, so it's not just a wee daft Saturday morning team. They had a very good side, so I'd went down and watched them. What was the boy in the middle of the park called? The boy with the dark hair. Kind of small guy, good football player. Right, so yeah, I've been doing and watched the week before, and he ran the show and he was excellent. So I've said to my centre mid, look, do not give him any time. And I had a boy Fraser Morrison playing centre mid for us. Fraz is one of the boys, he's just daft as anything. You tell him to do something, he just does it. So I says, every time he gets the ball, press him, work him hard. So Fraz is giving him a hell of a game, right, and starts dominating him and playing better than him. And the boy just wants to start kicking him and elbowing him.
It would have been McManus.
No, it wasn't McManus. So the boy wants to start elbowing him and kicking him and all that. So I've shouted on, Fraser, that's not very nice. Let that boy out your back pocket. And Daz has went off like a 2-ball bit, honestly.
We Sal.
Aye, Sal. He's a pal of mine.
Aye, we Sal. Because Tyson come on all day.
Aye. I see, the thing is, right, this is about Gibby, PG, right? So I'm not wanting to make this personal about me and you. You're basically now claiming to Gibby and the audience out there that you basically you tactically beat me, you know what I mean? It was your tactics that basically so you just, so I'll let you have it. I'll just take that one, because
I'm just saying that
if I had a few drinks a day, I was driving, I'm coming up my motor and I'm going to chap your door.
I'm just saying that one of my players got a better one of your players. That's all it is.
Right, okay.
But anyway, Gibby. So, Gibby, you've ended up leaving Bells Hill and gone to Shots after that?
No, we went back to Lanark.
Oh, back to Lanark after that?
We went back to Lanark. We got the sack. The thing they felt it could run out of patience. Whereas the following year season, they were still in the top league. we'd lost a lot of players. A lot of boys had went again to other bigger clubs. We'd done well with them, went to bigger clubs, and we struggled to get really good players in. And then we never started really well. And then I think it was the third game they sacked us at Belsall. We were out of job for about 2 months. We actually were doing for an interview at Hurlford, and he was asked if he was at the job. And just before that, Lanark then phoned and asked us to come back. They were in the top league, but they were the bottom of the league. So they asked us to come back, and we went back to Lanark for a couple of seasons. And then we went to Shotts after Tony and that left.
How was your time at Shotts?
Good club. We were like Colton does excellent up there. The people up there were good. The thing was at the Shotts, my dad did play with Shotts, so it was good to go and do a bit there at Shotts. And we done well first season. They'd been relegated that season. We took them the championship, and we took them straight back up to the top division again. So we did. So it was good. 2 or 3 seasons there, and then that's when Tam decided that he had enough of the players. Tam had just decided players had changed, and he just didn't feel. He just had enough. It just came as enough. And to be fair, Paul, I said I was going to retire at 50. I'd been in the game a long time, and I thought to myself, that's me. I'm at 50. I was 48 at the time. And I said, that's it. I'm going to just go as well with Tam. And then I met a boy in Asda, one of the committee, and asked me what I was doing. And I says, I thought the Blantyre job had been given out. And he says, no, would you be interested? I says, I would be. And I went for an interview and ended up getting the job.
Was Davy Gregg the manager before you?
Murday was the manager before me.
Because obviously Davy's had a very successful Blantyre team. I remember playing against these teams, and they were very good at what they did. They're very physical. But I thought that they had a team of guys like, we kind of slagged Davy on the show about it with Davy Galt, because he just that's his love child. Yeah. But then you like boys like Davy Green and Terry Hewitt and all that, who were all winners and a right good team. Did you inherit any of that team?
No, they all left. Every single one of them left, Paul. So they had every single one of them left. They all came in, and what they done was I spoke to a couple of them, like, no, we're leaving. So when I took on at Blantyre, I never had one player, not one player when I took on the first season. And we were in the championship at the time. But listen, you do about your business. I brought people in I knew, but it was hard when you're starting from scratch. You know what I mean? We'd done all right, but then we get in the end we get relegated, and we went back down to the first division. So we did. But listen, that's what made us better. We then went down, and again, I ended up, I think I only did again 6 or 7 players for the championship side as to start building up again. No. So it was difficult again, and it was just like rebuilding. But then I kept a nucleus of players, and that's what's really got us where we are.
Well, obviously, like,
where did you start getting your players for, Gibby? Because obviously, if you're starting from scratch, did you, like, for outside for me, mate, I've always kept like your results and performances and things like that, and you always seem to get these good young players in. And I just wonder where kind of do you like your shopping? Where have you got people out there looking for players for you, or how do you go about your business?
I've got a friend who goes and looks at players, and I've got other people who go and look. But mostly, I've got a good friendship with the boys at East Kilbride. So I know Paul Keane up at East Kilbride, and I've picked a really good few up for there. So I have. Other than that, I've been out and about just seeing other players. I like it midweek games, because then that's when you know you can go and do your shopping. I always look to lower leagues of the same league, because that's my budget, and I always see if I can pick something up for there. And under 21s, I've picked a really good couple under 21s. I picked Lewis McDonald up there, he's moved now. He's moved on to Petersall. Picked him up for Pollock under 21s, but I knew about him. So it's just knowing other people, and then going about yourself and seeing them and having a wee look. So it is.
You're saying about the pick boys up for 21.
Sorry, PG, as you did say, like I know Davy Gregg really well. He's been my gaffer on that, and I basically know the majority of the boys that played there, and I've played against like your teams, Gibby, and I've seen your teams playing, and it's like that is dead different. Blantyre teams, it's like success. Just shows you can have success with different styles. Like, no saying Davy doesn't play good football, but all his boys were all strong, physical, would battle really well and grind games out. But when I've played against like your teams or that, Gibby, it's young, it's pacey, it's energetic, it's width, it's quite it's like good players in the wide positions that are dead direct and go people and all that, and like to get the ball down and play. And it's it's mad how like different styles can still get success.
You see the style of play you only got to adapt your style of play with the players you can get, because I wouldn't mind some big strong players and going that way, because that can get you success, because sometimes you need that when you're going in battle against bigger teams, see your Talbots and that. But other than that, I only can game a style of play with the players that's available to me, and that's the sort of thing. Now I've got a style of play now, and this is what I start fitting in. So you start fitting these players in, so I know what I'm looking for now, because that's my style now. Whereas at first it wasn't, but now I've had to adapt to that style, because that's the only players I could get in, and this is what we do now. And the players I'm getting in, I want to come, because attacking wise, we're very quick, and that's what we're about now. We're really good attacking wise. I always look for a bit of pace, and mostly for the middle to the front. For the last year and a half, 2 years, we've been excellent. And most teams couldn't have lived with us for that area.
See, you're obviously talking about style and stuff, and you've had to take time for that. A lot of managers don't get time, and obviously your first couple of years were, your first year in particular, in the Central First, was really difficult, where you were lower down and stuff. How were the committee and giving you time? Because obviously giving you time has paid dividends for them massively. Because I remember, like, because we used to work together and stuff, and we talk, and I remember thinking, well, Gibby might be under a bit of pressure here, because you had 2 years in a row where it was difficult, and then you've really kicked on for there. Do you think that managers, they need that time, and you feel fortunate that you got it?
I don't know if I was fortunate to go it, because I was under pressure. I make no doubt about it. There was a few games that I thought if I'd lost, I was fortunate enough to win the games I needed to win, and got ourselves moving on, and then you just go at it. You were a wee bit lucky, because I was under big pressure. I think at one stage I was nearly away, but I think one more game I think I lost, because I'd brought in some good players and it just wasn't happening. And some of the players are still there that were struggling, and some of the players that have just moved on to bigger things were there and we were struggling. It was just something I just couldn't put my finger on. But once we started getting there, then we really did kick on. A couple of just like, you know what it's like. Some signings just happen for you, and then everybody just clicks together. That's just what happens. And it's not even some of the signings. You move somebody a different position, or a couple of different positions, the players you've got, and it starts working for you. Because I've had players know it's been there, and I've played them different positions and moved them back, and they're kicking on. Like me right back, Dale Jones started off as a midfield player for me. Boy Kieran Coleman started off as a right back, and Kieran's away now, and then a midfielder, and then centre half. Craig Kerr was moved my centre half as a midfielder. So just things like that, and you see things in training that you think, I think he can maybe play there when you're struggling a wee bit, and things just happen for me. Listen, sometimes it's a wee bit of luck you need there, and that's what I really got, and I was under heavy pressure. And I took phone calls to say, listen, you've not really got a lot of more time. We're expecting more for you.
Aye. Well, see, you spoke about getting boys for like the 21s and stuff, and something myself and Dak have spoke about on the show before, with having a development league in. Now, I actually don't know if Blantyre have a 20s team, but is that something that you think that a lot of clubs can utilise now, where, granted, a lot of the teams have been taken for like local boys club teams and brought in to be their development side, but do you think that's something that clubs will tap into over the next 4 or 5 years, where the teams start to get stronger?
I think so. We've got an under 20s team. It was just unfortunate the league never really kicked off there. It did. Again, it's difficult for me to get players in, so it's even more difficult for him to say to players, good players, to come and play with Blantyre's under 20s. You know what I mean? So the quality might have not been as good as what Davey and I expected, but they've worked hard to get boys in. And I did tap in. I had a couple on the bench for me there. The young goalkeeper and that, and a couple other ones come onto the bench for me. So it's something I'm quite happy to tap into. I've took a few sessions from them as well. Go to training, take a few sessions. They played a few Friday night games which are going a day, and you go to them as well, and you look to see, and you just get a wee bit of input to the managers to say, listen, we can maybe try this is how we're going to try and play. Let's see if we can do that. And they're very receptive to the boys that take under 20s. They're excellent. 2 or 3 boys that take under 20s have worked really hard, because again they've started and they've had nothing, absolutely nothing. Like most under 20s, nothing, and they've brought boys in, so they have.
You think you would like to think that players out there, young boys, because let's be honest, boys, they're no daft. Like, they must look at clubs and say, they're playing young guys, they're giving young boys an opportunity. So I will go to their under 20s, because if I go there and do well, then I could maybe get a good shot of getting into the first team. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, I've had boys still me. Young Craig Kerr's now 21. I've had since 17. Fraser Allen, 17. Wee Jonesy was 19 when he came. I've had boys for that age right through, and they're still winning just now. So they are, and that's just how.
I used to coach big Gary Campbell and all.
Gary. See, I had Gary at a shot, so I did, and then I took him to Blantyre. He's the captain now, Gary. So I've knew him all the years.
He was my big captain at Clyde Pro Youth. I was his manager at Clyde Pro Youth, then he went to Hearts. You get a move to Hearts when he was playing for us. Good big boy, Gary.
Gary's done well, so he is.
Do you have quite a good relationship then as a management team with the 20s managers?
I have a good relationship with Davey. Definitely. Me and Davey, I've knew Davey for years. Davey's come in, Davey Flanagan. He's actually on the committee as well, Davey. And he's always worked hard. So he is for Blantyre. He was a supporter. He came to all the games, Davey Flanagan, and now he's took the 20s. So he has.
Because I know that people have spoken to with certain clubs that are involved with 20s and that, where they don't get much, no necessarily for the club, they don't get much support, but they don't get much support for the management team. And I think that's just ignorance and stupidity, to be honest, because see if you're planning on staying at a club for a spell, well, like you look at Maxie at Ashfield, Maxie's doing a lot of stuff to try and get the club sorted with the young teams and that. And I know they don't have a 20s, but they're looking to progress their younger, is it 17s, Nick?
What we is basically our oldest age group is under 17, so what we're saying is it's a bit too soon for them, but we think it's unfair that under 17s manager who's gave so much to the club that we're hoping that he has team another 1-2 year, and then he'll become the under 20s gaffer, and that team will become our under 20s rather than going out and maybe asking another club to come in. That's kind of the route we were going. Just kind of thought, I know the gaffer was hinting, and I totally agree with him, that it's nice for our club to show that basically confidence in the under 17s manager and a bit of, and show our confidence in the young boys. Even though it's under 17s, we've had 3 or 4 of the boys in and playing in training ways and all that, and they've done really well. We've played a few friendlies and that, so, and these boys are only like 16 and stuff, do you know what I mean? So there are some good players out there.
That gives you... On you go, Gibby.
Every training session, I have 3 or 4 of Davy boys training with every training session.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's brilliant. It's a great thing.
The pure keenness, the keenness is there that you hope rubs onto the other boys, because these young boys come in and they don't stop running, they don't stop trying and all that, and you're just hoping that rubs off in a couple of your own players, you know what I mean? Because we all know we've got some players in our team that could get a wee bit more training in it sometimes, you know what I mean?
It can shame older players into doing kind of working a bit harder, to say. Right, so obviously, Gibby, you've had your first 2 full years have been kind of quite difficult. The second year's been a bit better, you've improved year on year. Then you've had the season where you finished 3rd and it's been a lot stronger. Then you've had the final year of the juniors where you have finished joint 1st with Darvo. It's something we spoke about to Mick when he was on. How did that feel for you having to share that? Well, granted, they were tap, but the run of form you were on, you would have went ahead of them if you had won your games. And the way it was going, it looked like you would have done that. How did it feel? Or were you just happy to go into the Premier?
We're just happy to get into the Premier League. Listen, it didn't matter how we got there. I wasn't too worried. It's great to win. I mean, I think it's 16 in a row league games we won. We started off where we had a defeat at Cumbernauld, and then a defeat with Darvo on the Wednesday night. It was quite a hard start we had, actually. And what we done was Darvo beat us 2, but the man sent off and they beat us 2-1 with a late goal. But we played well, and I thought to myself, we'd done well there. Then we'd no game on the Saturday, Sonny Tartan on the Saturday, we went up to Gap Cairn. We were beating them 4-3, and they scored I think it scored in the 95th minute or something to make it 4 each. So that was about it. And then we beat Nielsen. We scored in the last minute to beat Nielsen, and then that was it. 16 league wins in a row. And I looked at that and I thought to myself, the only team that's really, because we beat Cumbernauld when they came to us, and I thought to myself, the only team that we're going to have to beat is when we go down to Darvo. Other than that, I couldn't see anybody beating us. I remember going to Renfrew and giving them, I think we beat them 4 or 5-1, and me, Clarkie, saying, you're the best team I've played, without a doubt, best team I've played. He says, as I say, middle to front, unbelievable. He says, we couldn't, maybe they'll cope easily. Well, we won a good run. Whether I won it, I don't know. We were just happy to get promoted, and it didn't look as if it was going to happen. But now the club started breaking away and trying to close it down. But in the end, we got up, and that's that's the first time Blantyre's been in the top division for a long, long time.
How did you?
I don't care what anybody says, Gibby. I don't care what anybody says. To go 16 wins at any level of football is a tremendous achievement. That is some gone. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we were Darvo had put us out the Scottish. We'd only lost the only team for that. Then the only team that beat us was Darvo. They beat us 4-3 in the Scottish, and another good game. So it was. But we were still in the West as well. So we really won one or two of the West games as well. So we won a right few games. But the 16 league games was a great achievement.
It's quite impressive. What do you think the turning point was for you to go from having kind of a good season but no a tremendous season to being so strong?
I think the turning point was, remember losing 2-1 to Greenock the season before, and that looked as if that was what promotion hopes did. And we had to go, and I said to the committee, listen, we're capable. I said, we need to win 7 out of 8 to go get promoted. We went and won 8 out of 8, and it just took on for there. So the players then believed in themselves. And it was as if, I know we lost the first 2 league games, but it didn't really matter to them. See, when they hit that running run again, they felt as if they were never going to get beat. Settled teams, people all playing for each other, working hard and training, and they wanted to stay in the team. We got the real
Gibby. Sorry, Gibby. Sorry, mate, batter in there.
We got a wee bit derailed. We never lost games, but again, and I'm not hanging, Dav come in at that stage, and they got Aaron Black. They wanted to buy Aaron Black, lost Colwell, and that kind of knocks you off your stride a wee bit. Not I mean, any players then. It was Kieran Coleman they wanted, and that very, very, very. It was to try and knock us off our stride. I don't know, but they wanted. They ended up just getting Aaron Black, bought Aaron Black off us, and that kind of gets the players a wee bit. Knocked us a wee bit, although we were winning games.
Turn heads a wee bit.
No saying we fell away. We did fall away a wee bit. Our standards and our performances weren't as good as what they were before. That was annoying. But then we got back on track again.
Well, you have obviously.
See for me, Gibby. Sorry, PG. See for me, Gibby, right? And this is a big thing. What's the crowd been like for you? In the last couple of years, have you been getting decent crowds?
We've started getting good crowds. People have now started coming because you're winning games. You know what I mean? And the people at Blantyre.
Well, the reason I ask is because see your time at the club. I think that community should get right behind it, because see when I watch you score goals, but also that you can maybe concede goals, but the games, man, there's goals and all that. They just sound really entertaining and all that, and really good games. You know what I mean? Like that Darvel game you're talking is like a 4-3, and then you went to Renfrew and it's been like a 5-1 and all that. It's like there's lots of goals, there's probably lots of talking points and all that. So like that's how I was wondering, like, have you seen like people in the community, because of the success and maybe the way you're playing football, it's very entertaining because you're scoring goals and conceding goals and that more people want to come and watch you?
I've definitely seen it. The thing was, see when I took Ordax, right, and I'm no disrespect to anybody, right, I said to the committee, I'll be bringing all local boys. There'll no be anybody coming from far away to play for this club, right? Because Blantyre had lost their sense of community. I was going down to the games, if I never did, and there was hardly anybody there. And I'm no disrespect. They never trained it anywhere near Blantyre. They trained away up. David had them trained away in Glasgow somewhere. They never came near the park until a Saturday. The committee didn't know. The players only came on a Saturday, and that's all he's known. I says, no, I'll be bringing, when I took courses, I will be bringing everything back into local. Players will try and get as many local players as I can. When about Hamilton, and I did. I had 4 or 5 for Whitehall in Hamilton. I had boys for East Kilbride. The furthest probably I had was Wee Jones up at Larkcall. I had boys for Motherwell, all local, because that people then come to watch that, because other parents start to come because they're not that far away, and their uncles come, and that's what happens. See, when you bring these players, you bring their moms and dads in. They bring their friends with them, and you've got to do that to get a club like that thriving, and that's what we tried to do, and that's what we've done. And I had a couple of almost the wee boys at Darwin, but he's a Blantyre boy. That's full. He could bring him at 10, 13 folk now, just to watch for Blantyre, because he's local. And that's what I've always tried to get people who have been running about Blantyre to try and get them back up. And I say that to the committee. See, when we took on, first we tried to get Letts for training at Hamilton. You know what they say to us? Well, you've not been here for 4 or 5 years. What do you want a Let for?
That's mad.
So we did struggle a wee bit.
So what you're saying is Aaron Black's family paid his wages then? Does he get it? What's a good? I've never seen him play, to be honest. What kind of crowds are you?
That friendly was very good.
Aye. What kind of crowds are you getting then now? Because I remember, I think I only played at Blantyre twice, and it was like 50 or 60 people. But that was when the club weren't doing particularly well. So what kind of crowds is a good crowd for you now, roughly?
I would say anything 150 to 200 now, Paul.
Pretty good then.
You've seen it yourself. We've just put we expect, because you're in the top league, we're expecting more people, and we're expecting to maybe with the Rangers and Celtic probably not getting full crowds out. We'll be expecting to maybe pick up a few things.
Aye.
And you do what I've always said. You always find, see if Celtic and Rangers are playing on a Sunday, you usually find get a bigger crowd because people want to come and watch games. And you've seen this as well. We've put new roofs in the two stands. We've put three stands in for seating. We've seated all next to the dressing room. So we've worked really hard, and they come out and worked really hard to get that place for people to come.
We were really impressed when we were doing.
We were doing, and the boys, I knew like Andy and that because I signed briefly for Davy Gregg when I was there, but the work they were all doing, it was George and that and all, wasn't it? He's some character. Was it George, wasn't it?
It was George,
some character. But as I say, it'll be a different feel down there next season. Gibby, but see when you get crowds in and you get, that's what I kind of say in the show and all, and the big boys in town, it'll be a good atmosphere down at your way next season, I think.
Oh, there always is. Even in the terracing bit where it's covered, you always get a good support in there, and it's next to, and you know yourselves, it's next to the.
It does it.
So you always get a wee bit of banter. I always like a wee bit of banter, and you always get a wee bit of shouting in that. So it's good that way.
That is a good thing because you've got the likes of Clydebank who have obviously got great support. You've got the Talbot, kind of a lot of good clubs who, and it's great for the club now when you see like the money that can be brought in through kind of gate receipts and stuff with the bigger teams coming. And on that moving in, obviously this season's been what it's been. There's really no been anything that could be done about the kind of pandemic and stuff. And we've touched on it earlier. You said the good start. How did you find the standard of the new Premier League?
Listen, I was impressed with a lot of sides. I was really impressed with Largs. We were doing to Largs in the 3-1. They're a good side, you know what I mean? Some really good sides. Everett Meadow, they've got some young boys. They actually reminded us ourselves a wee bit. Some young boys, never really heard much about them, but they were pacey, quick, got the ball forward really quick, and were a really good side, moved the ball really quickly, and yet know a lot of household names here.
Aye.
So teams have done a lot of work with having bringing in big names, and they've worked hard on it, and that's what I found. Even the games we did win, people thought, how did you do that? Could win and beat them, beat Kilwinning and 2-1, and Kilwinning's a good side. But I thought we were well in control of the game as well at Kilwinning, you know what I mean? We've done well at Kilwinning. So some really good sides. I said that earlier. Teams that you make a mistake, they're clinical, but we weren't making as many mistakes as we were before in that other division. So the games were good. We went to Rossvale 4-3, which was a high scoring game again on an AstroTurf. Again, a good side as well. Dave Gomes has got them playing well as well. So there is a lot of good sides in there. Listen, it'll be good next year. Can't wait till the season starts. And if it starts, hopefully, and we get playing again.
Well, it's looking like it's going to be the middle of July, which is good. It'd be great to get boys back in and playing because I know that some boys are absolutely chomping at a bit to play. Touching on what we spoke about with the players you've lost who are big players to lose, how do you feel your recruitment's gone so far now that we're going to be starting, teams will be starting back pre-season in the next couple of weeks?
It's done all right. I've agreed terms with a couple of boys to bring in, and I'm still speaking to a couple. And I'm happy with the couple I've brought in now. The ones I've offered terms to see if they've not agreed to say they're coming yet. But if they come, I'll be happy. If they don't, I'll just have to look elsewhere.
Aye.
So, and I say that to you. Listen, there's plenty out there. I was talking the other day to somebody. A couple of years ago, you would get a small group of players sent to you saying, these are the boys that are available. 2 years ago, it was a bit bigger. Last year, it was big. This year, it's going to be huge, the amount of players that's available. And I'm going to touch on a wee story there. I had a phone number of a boy that played with a Premier League club and had been in loan to a couple of second division clubs. And I thought to myself, and this is just how you think sometimes, he'll not come to Blantyre. So I never phoned him, right? So I never bothered phoning him. I then made a mistake. I was trying to phone my goalie coach and I phoned this boy's number. And I was like, well, that's the right number. So I hung up. The boy then phoned twice and I was a bit embarrassed to pick the phone up. because I made a mistake with phoning him, right? And then he phoned a third time. I says, Linda said to me, you better answer that. And I explained to him. I says, listen, I may apologise. I'm John Gibson. I'm like, all right, okay. I never phoned you last year because I thought, and I said to him, so who did you sign for? He went, nobody phoned me.
Mad.
I said, what? He said, nobody phoned me. I've not got a club. And then I said to him, do you fancy going to Blantyre? Now, this is a boy played in the Premier League.
Aye.
He's like, aye, I'd love to. He's only a young boy. I'd love to.
It's mad, isn't it?
It just shows you.
I know, it's... Now you get in your own head sometimes.
I know. Last season I thought, he'll get a club, no bother phoning that young boy. Because he'd been at Albion Rovers, he'd been at Edinburgh City, done well. And I thought to myself, somebody will take him.
Aye. It's mental, isn't it?
Aye. So that shows you the
I
amount
don't
of
know how
players
it
that
works.
Aye, it gives you hope sometimes though. Like, see, you spoke about earlier as well about players. You look to the lower leagues and stuff like that. Is that kind of bore you through as well, where it's been quite good because there is a lot of quality down there. I mean, you look at Dax talking about Callum. Obviously, he's moved on now to Pollock, and wish him all the best in that. But there's boys down there that we've played with that it's a lot of quality. For some reason, they've not been picked up by a Premier League club or whatever. Is that something that you actively try and do then?
Aye, definitely. I actively look at that and see boys that don't get a game with the Lowland League. That's a place I try and look at, the Lowlands League as well. Boys that just haven't quite made it in the Lowlands League, been there and played a few games, didn't it? And then you try and say to them, listen, take a step back to go back up if you want. Because their aspirations in the Lowlands League is to get to the second division, eh? So they're thinking we're going to get it. It's a professional run league, the Lowlands League. So every club down there, well, probably the top six are run very professionally. East Kilbrides, I say I've got a good relationship with Paul. The BSC Glasgow's Cumbernauld Colts, good relationship with James. So I have picked a few up for there as well, and that's the sort of thing you've got to do. But they've played at that, they know that level. They've played first team games, and that's where you can have a look. And they're the younger boys, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these teams are good 20s teams.
Exactly. You've got to be quite active, I suppose. Before we finish up, Gibby, what's your aims for next season, and where are you hoping, or even further afield than that? What is your aims with the club, and what are you hoping for?
Well, listen, we've done a lot of work in the park, so we're having a wee bit of money into the park. And I kid on because I always say, I had a boy doing, and his dad doing last Thursday. I says, listen, my biggest sign-on fee this year, we've bought a new tractor. It cost us $3,500. I says, that'll be our biggest expense this year.
That interrupted us when we were filming. Had to shout at the boy on the get up and down. Had to shout at him.
We all be hoping to stay up. Listen, when the season comes, we'll be looking to stay up. That's probably our aim this year. If we can get any higher, then we'll be delighted. But we've got to try and stay up. You know me, Paul. You watched me in that. Very diplomatic. I'll not say nothing I don't think we can achieve. I'll only say what I think we can achieve. And I think we can achieve staying up. If I get a couple of good quality players in the place of ones I've lost.
Well, I think if there's anybody that can keep a team up, it's definitely yourself, because the record speaks for itself the last few years.
I think that the thing is that there's still the spine of that team that you've had, Gibby, and they've got that mentality of winning games now and all that, and they know what it's all about. So hopefully that'll stand in good stead. Who is the best player you've managed, Gibby?
So far, we do get Emery's probably the best I've managed.
Aye.
No John Henderson.
Hendo was one word, frustrating, as you know.
See, to be honest,
frustrating. Sign for me, and then he never turned up.
He's one of the boys that would absolutely destroy the best defenders in the league one week, and then the worst defenders in the league the next week would have him on toast. He's such an enigma, but he's a good boy though. I like Hendo a lot. Right, well, we'll finish up there, Gibby. I'd said 2 months ago about coming on, and obviously because we've worked together and we know each other quite well, I really appreciate you waiting on us, getting round to you. And it's
at least Gibby will talk to me. He's seen me up before a wee while ago and was prying me. I think it was his good lady. He says, "There's Dax for PG and Daxfield Football Podcast," and he started talking to me.
Listen, Dax, I says to Big Paul, I was just waiting for to say nothing. I was going to say, your co-host doesn't even know the guys that's supposed to be getting on this show.
No.
Because Dak texts me like, he says, I seen Gibby up before, and I was like, all right, no worries. And I think he phoned me for something right after it, and he says, I seen Gibby and he got in the motor, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, he's not sure if that's me. And he says, I said, fuck it. And I just waved to him. And so I text Gibby right after I got off the phone. And I was like, oh, what's happened with Dak? He's like, the prick didn't notice me at first. And I says, he did. Says, you didn't notice him at first.
I was, by the way, see, I was in the middle of texting him to say, can't believe your co-host, then you've waved at me. I said, I better know then.
Tommy's our best of pals and that knew who you were.
I thought you'd still fail because I got an MOM when we played you that friendly.
Ruined his perfect pre-season. Gibby, thanks a lot for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it.
Listen, Gibby, you're some man, and I really wish you all the best, because I know how hard that is to lose players and having to try and get them again. So I wish you all the best, mate, and look forward to catching up with you soon, mate.
No problem. Listen, I appreciate getting us on, even though it was 10th choice. I don't mind that.
You're actually 9th, Gibby. This is episode 9.
That's 9.
See before you
go.
Start
11, Gibby.
See before you go, I've got a wee story, Gibby. I'm going to embarrass you a wee bit here. So obviously, my wife works with Gibby, so she comes in the house one day after work. She's like, "You better get Gibby on the show." And I says, "Of course I'm getting him on the show." I was like, I says, "I've got people that we've spoken to." I says, "Leaving Gibby a bit later because we know each other, so I don't mind leaving him a bit later because we know each other." And he's like, he's fucking moaning at me saying, "Oh, I think he's forgot about us." And then I text Gibby, I says, "Look," says, "sorry we've not got you on. We're going to get you on the next few weeks." And he's like, no, don't worry about me. I'm no fussed about it. Whenever you're ready, just get me on. Well, that's shite insecure. That's what it is, Gibby. But Gibby, thanks a lot, mate. I know.
Cheers, Gibby.
We wish you all the best, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Top man, Gibby. Cheers.